Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan. The Indianapolis Colts had a wonderful 2023 season, absolutely defied expectations. Almost made the playoffs too. It was came down to like the final couple of seconds of their season, and if a couple plays went their way, they'd probably be in the playoffs. And who knows? They could have gotten revenge on the Browns based off how poorly the Browns played in the wild card matchup. But we're going to break down the 2023 season, and then also in the second half of the video, go into their 2024 offseason preview, go over their picks, key free agents, and also how much cap space they have and some potential team needs. Before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell whenever Ryan and I create new content. Coming up next week or the following week after, depending on when the Colts 3-round mock draft gets released, we are going to be doing 3-round mock drafts for all 32 teams. Also, over the next couple of months, we're going to be doing several 7-round mock drafts for the Colts specifically, and also other 3-round mock drafts as well. So be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified. Ryan, the Indianapolis Colts here, they went 9-8. Could have been 10-7. Should have been 10-7 actually, based off how the Browns game ended. So let's get that off very clearly. That will always be a fun memory in our mind watching that game with our father, who is an Indianapolis Colts fan, and his brother-in-laws, our mom's brothers, who are from Ohio, who are Cleveland Browns fans. And that'll always be just a fun memory, just in general, based off his reaction, rightfully so, for one of the worst pass interference calls I think we've ever seen.
I think second worst.
Second worst specifically. But
we all audibly laughed at how bad that throw was, and then they threw the flag. Not to harp on it, I know we talked about it probably every single Colts video, but
the ref threw the flag, and then I think Dad threw the remote. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, but looking back at the season though, 20th in passing. This is all team offensive stats, so that's why some of the numbers are off a little bit. So that it includes sacks, but 20th overall, average when it came to sacks allowed, average when it came to amount of turnovers that they had, and also too as well. Like if I go and look here quickly, they had some turnover heavy games. Like they gave 22 total, but in weeks 6 and week 7. They gave up 4 turnovers each in that game. So 8 turnovers specifically in those 2 games.
They had 2 against the Patriots as well. No,
they just had 1 against the Patriots.
Oh, I thought they had a fumble and an interception.
I think the fumble got reversed. I think I know which one you're talking about. They had 2 against the Tennessee Titans in their win and 2 against the Bengals in their loss in weeks 13 and 14. So I would say that specifically. So in general, Gardner Minshew did a decent job. Gardner Minshew had a very solid season, all things considered. He actually ended up playing in all 17 games. I'm just not realizing this, which means either Anthony Richardson got hurt, or they had a substitute play, or missed some portion of the game.
He tore his labrum in week 3. I think in week 1 they brought him in.
So Anthony Richardson played in 4 games, started all 4 games. And you're right. I think he went on IR. Let me pull it up here.
Okay.
He went on IR, and they still actually have it. I wonder if they adjust it. Where they have it here. In week 6. Actually, it when he went on IR. So I think he got hurt in week 4, sat out week 5, then they decided he had to have surgery. I had to go back and double check exactly. But he missed the vast majority of the season.
Yeah. But anyways, Gardner Minshew had a good season. This running game had a big rebound. They were top 3 in the league 3 seasons ago, and then 2 seasons ago they had a big fall off after they, which honestly is what resulted in the firing of Frank Reich. And then this year, pretty big bounce back for this Colts team, especially Jonathan Taylor missed the first 4 games holding out for a new contract. Then he had some injuries, and Zach Moss was in and out of the lineup with injuries as well. They were out their top 2 running backs, and Trey Sermon at the end of the season had a significant amount of carries for this Colts team, and they were still running the ball at a top 10 pace in the league. And then on the defensive side of the ball, this team defensively is very young in the secondary. They moved on from Stephon Gilmore last offseason. They invested in Juju Brents and who's the tall kid? Darius Rush from South Carolina in the draft. And all in all, just a little inexperienced. And so I do expect that the overall passing defense and secondary will get better. And they get after the passer as one of the best teams in the league, led by DeForest Buckner. They had 51 total sacks, and that was fifth in the league. But with that being said, I do think they were probably slightly undersized on the defensive line, and while that allowed them to be faster after the passer, they did get pushed around the run game a good bit. So definitely, I think something to improve there. And they were the league average in overall defensive turnovers. So
no, and I think that's kind of a good segue then also, and you made some great points on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and I agree with you there, kind of like being pushed around in the run game a little bit. Like we were actually even at that Falcons game as well, and like they just played the same defense, and they just kind of let the Falcons run all over them. Actually, here, let me pull up the stats here. Like just in that game specifically, Falcons had 170 rushing yards that they allowed. They made Taylor Heineke look like an MVP candidate, which, trust me, as a Falcons fan, he is not. He is not going to be winning the MVP this year. But in general, though, DeForest Buckner and then Taven Bryan also had 2 sacks of the season. DeForest Buckner had 8. Samson Ebukuma had 9.5, and Kwity Paye had 8.5. So there was a lot of just consistent pressure, and then that's what I liked about their pass rush overall. There's a lot of different guys that could burn you. But as I've mentioned here, also they have some key free agents starting in the middle. Grover Stewart and Taven Bryan are both free agents. So how do they want to address that here and on the defensive line? And they had that 15th pick overall. Talking about beefing up the defensive line, especially the interior. We'll have to see where Jersey Newton falls. He's kind of one of those unicorn's not the right word, but just he could potentially go inside the top 10. I can also see him potentially going mid-20s, just depending on how teams value him and like the defensive tackle positions. I think the Colts could improve there also.
I would say in this class, he's not the same player as Kalijah Kancey. Kalijah Kancey is an undersized defensive tackle. But like in terms of value, I see that being very similar. And Kalijah Kancey went at 17 in last year's class. And this class is better. And I think Jersey Newton is an overall better player. But I do think that would be a really interesting pick there. Put him next to DeForest Buckner. That would be a good candidate.
Absolutely. And that's where I think, to add, like, how do they value him compared to who else is available in the draft, and also what they do in the secondary, because I think what's going to be available at their 15th pick is going to be definitely secondary. Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, any one of those guys should be available. Maybe one of them will come off the board before it gets to them. This second wave of receivers, outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Roma Dunze. Shoot, maybe even Roma Dunze still might be there. So that's the fringe. But that second wave of first round talent in the receiver room is going to be available. If they want to address the receiver position. Michael Pittman Jr. is a free agent. No reason why they wouldn't re-sign Michael Pittman. I think he deserves everything, especially after he had 1,152 receiving yards for the team this year, 109 receptions. And then how many? Only 4 touchdowns. I don't hold that against him though, because Gardner Minshew was.
He might be a guy that they just franchise tag and tag and extend.
Maybe. I'm also thinking though too, if you're in the win now mode, you expect Anthony Richardson to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they tag Gardner Minshew again. They're not tag him. Sorry, that's the wrong word, because that's what you just said. Sign him to a favorable backup contract as well, just in case.
Yeah,
but. Let's say you give him a 3 or 4 year contract, they'll get him to 30. You have Josh Downs then for the next 4 years. You go get a receiver that imagine like a Brian Thomas Jr. So I think he could easily replace Alec Pierce, and I think he's going to be more. He would be more dynamic than Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is a go guy. That's all he really does. I think Brian Thomas Jr. What he can go.
Brian Thomas Jr. is slowly turning into one of my favorite receivers.
But he also has
in terms of value.
And I think he has a better route tree than Alec Pierce does. So I think
I
think you can easily replace him right there. And so I don't want to say easily, because Alec Pierce has been in the league now for 2 years, but you get my point. So I think there's a lot of different ways they could go. They could go Jersey Newton if he's available. You could go with a secondary, probably the top secondary in the class, or you could go get Brian Thomas Jr. I also like Troy Franklin as well. I think he'd be very interesting. Those are the 2 top names to me that would make sense at 15 after kind of looking at the receiving class. I'm not a big fan of Keon Coleman. I feel like Keon Coleman would be another Alec Pierce.
That'd be a day two guy. If and actually, I disagree. Keon Coleman is a more of a fluid athlete than an explosive athlete.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
I meant more as in like I think he would turn into just a go guy. That's what.
Keon Coleman. He's a jump ball specialist, pretty much.
Yeah, and
he's better at that than Alec Pierce, in my opinion. It's just
a lot of people are. So
yeah. So we're getting into I think semantics here, but another guy that I would like the Colts to maybe potentially try and target if he falls a little bit in this top 10 would be Brock Bowers. I think that would be a fantastic fit. You get Jonathan Taylor, probably the best pass blocking or run blocking tight end in this draft. And then you also get Anthony Richardson, an elite athlete as a receiver, as the best receiving tight end in this class. And man, that would be a very formidable offense, especially if they can bring back Michael Pittman. Even if Alec Pierce is just running go balls and you're throwing 2 or 3 shots to him a game, fine, do it. I like that. I do think these tackles came on a little bit for the Colts there at the end of the season. I definitely think the strength of this offensive line is inside out. So if they do have a chance to maybe take one of the top tackles, like if Talise Fuaga falls down to him, or if they are trading up, I think if an Olu Fashanu falls to like 8 or 9, I think that's definitely within striking distance for the Colts there. So an interesting draft. I think the Colts definitely have the ability to move around. They have the cap space too to go out and get some free agents before, so that they can be really specific in who they target. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Colts, and I really like what they have going for them. I think they have the right guy in Shane Steichen. Hopefully, history seems to be repeating itself in Philadelphia with Nick Sirianni. So hopefully, history does not repeat itself in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen. So,
I agree.
Let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Colts 2023 season. And also let us know what you think they should do going forward in the 2024 offseason. Who are the free agents you think they should sign? Who do you want to see them go after in the draft? Let us know down below on that. We'll see you guys next time.